Where's the bang, Preston? Come on.
I can't breathe.
Pub Sports Radio. Come find us in Southtown 101. Subscribe on YouTube and all platforms where podcasts are found.
Welcome to NCAA Net Profit. It's January 11th. It's Tuesday. Max, I gotta ask how you're feeling after last night. We'll just go over it. We're going to go over the basketball scores real quick. It was the last football game of the year. I'll say my piece real quick before I know, I don't want to get you flowing, but shout out to Georgia. That last 8 minutes was championship football. They got it done. And so did Stetson Bennett. I mean, that guy made the plays. Bryce Young didn't. So shout out to Georgia for winning that game. But I don't like to hear, all these people that Georgia was the right side and all the bullshit. So, yeah, come on. This is gambling. But congrats to them. It was a really close game right there till the last 8 minutes, and they killed it. But how do you feel about that? Tell me about your basketball. Oh, by the way, I went 1-1 from yesterday. We did have the Campbell game, Max. That hit, though. But that was right before the show.
We did hit the live play on Campbell. So that's a winner and a bonus. What other goddamn college basketball show is going to give you a live winner in the middle of the show? So remember, sub to Pub Sports, like Pub Sports, become part of Pub Sports. Make your middle name Pub Sports. I won't be judging you. Not like I'm judging those piece of shit Georgia Bulldogs or whatever the hell you want to call them. You know what? I'll tell you this. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to be the bigger person here. It was rigged. Okay. They put something in our water in the second half. That's what happened. I can't prove it. I know it. I believe it. And I'm done with college football. So anybody that messages me about how Alabama lost last night, you're getting blocked. And remember, if Nick Saban was the coach of the Hamilton Ticats, I'd be the biggest Hamilton Ticat fan. Don't get it twisted.
That'd be true. Even in defeat, Nick Saban, shout outs. I saw that press conference, act
he was classy,
with the players. That was great. Great guy, probably the greatest ever college football coach. Well, college football, Max, you talked about it. We're done with it. It's over. My best bet won. Bolden right away got those catches. Man, I was clicking my heels because that's where I should a load of money on. So I was happy there. I did a few in-game live. I came out a little bit, but always fun in those games. I wish Bama won a little bit, but shout out to Georgia. I know you're not going to say that, but I'll give them their props real quick. Just real quick on the games. I lost Army. What a horrible second half. Sometimes maybe that's where I got to take a split. I don't know. And then the Denver game, of course, was over. We lived it, Max. We talked about that one. So that was 1-1 there. And then we mentioned the Campbell game and the live bet that won for you there before. Let's touch on some of the scores from yesterday, the rest of it, and then I want to get to your line movement in just a minute. Let's just scroll through some other ones real quick. It wasn't big. I mean, Greensboro over Wofford. Greensboro playing better. That defense, Wofford, man, it's tough to lay 3 on the road in some of these spots. Today's card, big favorites, teams that might have lost on the road Saturday that are huge favorites today. So it's going to be interesting there. Morgan State won. You talked about that, Max, 88-81 over South Carolina State. Florida A&M beat Grambling. South Dakota over North Dakota. Texas Southern over Mississippi Valley. Oregon over Oregon State. What was that one? Sorry, yeah. No noise in the background there. Trying to get out of here. And San Diego 72-62 over Pepperdine in that one. Let's get to your line moves today, Max. Let's hit them up.
Yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of line moves with a big Tuesday card. You get a lot of alumni betting, and with the legal market, you're getting everybody with $10 in a DraftKings or FanDuel account throwing their money on their school that they're a fan of or they're alum of. So today there is definitely a lot of movement. I think that the most important movement I have written down on a piece of paper, so I have my thoughts organized. And I'll start off with Tennessee. Tennessee going from a 13-point favorite to a 15.5-point favorite with a healthy South Carolina team coming into town. Definitely interesting move. Don't really know what to do there. St. Louis and Dayton going from a 136.5 total up to 140.5. Now, that is definitely very nice if you're an under better, but we have seen Dayton put it on the floor and put points up. They're going to need to hit threes tonight to get over that total and to beat St. Louis, even with them being at home. I think that with the DePaul and Marquette game, that game starting off at a 149.5 and now down to 146.5, definitely indicative of Marquette's style and tempo of game. However, we've seen DePaul be able to use their physicality, score close to the rim, and do a lot of damage in first halves with their free throw shooting. So it's going to be an interesting stylistic matchup right there. One of the strangest moves on as far as totals today has been the VCU GW game. Seeing VCU and that total go from 127 up as high as 132 definitely gave me some warm and fuzzy feelings about a additional total under. And I'll say this, Toledo going from a 1-point favorite to now a 2-point underdog definitely is perplexing. This is not the Toledo team that we can trust for 40 minutes, but trusting them for 20 definitely seems kind of reasonable. With Big Blue Nation and Vanderbilt tonight, we've seen that total go from 140.5 to 145. So it is definitely something to keep in mind, where you have a Kentucky team that has 5 or 6 double-digit scores, and then a Vanderbilt team that anytime that they get Miles Student, Jordan Wright to produce alongside Scottie Pippen, they're a formidable force, especially at home with that weird home court. Only a couple more, Conor. Stephen F. Austin went from 150 to 153 versus UT Rio Grande Valley, and I think it's the right move. UT Rio Grande Valley definitely gives you opportunities to score, and Stephen F. Austin has been quite dominant and getting better as a team at home so far in this conference season. Northern Iowa going from a 148.5 total to 152 is definitely indicative of Indiana State being relatively at full strength, having that Cam Henry, Cooper Neese combination. And with Northern Iowa, they are just getting more comfortable. Noah Carter and Nate Heisey are taking bigger chunks of this offense. And I do respect the move when it comes there. The last move that we're going to talk about is Lipscomb, going from an 11.5-point underdog on opener to right now an 8.5-point dog. Definitely it's a mind fuck. We've seen this Lipscomb team be fantastic offensively, but they couldn't stop an old granny with a crutch freaking from scoring at the bucket against them. So I don't think that I would have to say I agree with the move, because a hard offensive team just needs their opponent to have a bad shooting game, and they could backdoor cover that number.
Excellent. Is that it?
Yes, sir. That's all the relevant ones that I'm going to bring up. Otherwise, we'll be here all day talking about line movements.
That's true. There's a few we'll touch on in some of the games, of course, that we'll go through, that we'll get on them again, Max. Let's get right into your games, though. I love them. I love you go to the extra board for these games. Jacksonville versus Stetson. I believe the line is 4 for Jacksonville. Total here, 123.5. What is your look here?
Yeah, listen, I think that there's a real simple formula to use when it comes to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a very good home team. They're a very good first half home team. And I think that with Jacksonville, this is one of the more impressive defensive teams in the mid-major nation. I think that we're going to have to see that be on the forefront of their performance. Don't get me wrong, with Jordan Davis healthy in the lineup, his on-ball defense, along with Kevion Nolan's ability to game change and take over over the game is going to be key. But my X factor for this team is Mike Marsh. This is a guy that is big, takes up a lot of space in the paint, very good defender near the rim, can defend without fouling, and is definitely a bona fide double-double guy anytime that he's on point and playing 30 minutes plus. I think Jacksonville at home definitely has value first half. I do think Stetson, with the way that they can come back with Rob Perry leading the offense, is definitely something to not put your nose up at. But for the show purpose, I do think that the under full game, and I do think that Jacksonville, at least first half, is the way to go at the number right now.
Yeah, I lean under as well in that game, Max. Before we get to your second one, we got to give a shout out to everyone in the chat, but always to the first one, to our guy, Sharpie, the $3.39.99 dono, 333, Mattress Max. Please return to the Kremlin. No doubt. Shout out to Sharpie. I need to talk to him. I want to get him maybe on the golf show.
Sorry, shout out to Sharpie, but I'm not coming for verbal abuse about Alabama losing. So I am not going to Russia. I am staying in Ukraine, and you're gonna have to get the separatists to freaking take over more of the country to get me back.
No doubt. Let's get to everyone else in the chat. You know what to do, guys. Hit the thumbs up for us. Go to Twitter. Hit the retweet. Let everyone know we're here and we're rolling through all the games. Just about every day. So every once in a while with these massive cards, we might miss a couple, but for the most part, we're getting them all. Tell me another show that does it. I bet you can't. Let's get to the rest of the names here. T-Mac, right away. What's up, my guy? Nathan Cerna, Bill McDonald, Sean Murphy, Boston Nick, Nikki Fishhanks. What's up, man? Tone up in here, Anthony Witherspoon. His levels play of the day. Bonnie's team total over 75.5. Shout out, look for Tone there. His levels play of the day have been hitting. My guy, Cash Action Bets. Sharpie, of course, with the dono we just mentioned. Carlos Smith, Trey Day, Polly Walnuts, Rodney Barton, Damon. What's up, Damon? Good to see you, my guy, up in here. Bill McHugh, Ray. What's going on? Puzzler. What up, Puzzler? It's good to see you. Puzzler. Love the puzzling here. Mark Nichols. What's up, man? It's good to see you in here, too. Jake Burns, Crystal Warren, everybody in here. Mikey Z, hit it, thumbs up, hit the bell, hit the whistle, as I say. Let's get going. There's Mills. What's going on, Millie Mills? All right, let's get to your second one, Max. Eastern Kentucky, Northern Alabama. Eastern Kentucky, a 5.5-point favorite. Total 151. There's some with 151.5. What do you got here?
Yeah, listen, this line went up from Eastern Kentucky as an opener of -1 to 5.5. So instantly right there, I have to look towards the other side of the line, not want to take the ass end of it. And it was the same thing with the total going up 5 points from 146.5 to what it is now at 151.5. Eastern Kentucky has been playing a lot of under basketball. They have been being mislined. And I do think that now at this number right now, it is being mislined. North Alabama is not wanting to play a high-tempo, up-tempo offensive game. While Eastern Kentucky definitely has the firepower when it comes to Jamaro Brown or Cooper Robb or Russell Crookshank, Delano Blanton, that's the guy that makes the big difference. I thought that Mike Moreno would be leading this team in the front court, but Blanton has really stepped in, done a good job of not only trapping with the full court press, running up and down, and doing a good job defending the rim while not being exposed on the glass. Eastern Kentucky definitely, in my mind, at 1 was a lot more attractive than they are right now. I think that with Jamari Blackman at home and the way that CJ Brim can support him, you need a third freaking musketeer. And that's where Daniel Ortiz is going to come in. Ortiz definitely gave you an outlier type game, which I don't think that we can necessarily expect tonight, but he is a guy that does a good job of taking care of the basketball, and he's a good facilitator. He makes the extra pass. He has good court vision. And you know what? He's got a good handle to the left and right side. I think that if the defense loses him early and often, he can get into good rhythm and he can be the deciding factor in this game. But North Alabama is going to be better suited to playing a slower tempo game and not letting this game get into the 150s, because that is not going to favor them in the long run. So I got to look at North Bama at the number right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's moved a lot. It's tough to take Eastern Kentucky now. I mean, it's a lot of points there. That's moved, Max, for sure. How about this one? Is interesting. North Florida at Liberty. Liberty, this number's come down a little bit. They're 14.5-point favorites. Total 138.5. What's with Liberty? Can it stay under, though? Some of their game, we know at home they can, but they've gone over lately, maybe more on the road. What do you like here?
Yeah, Liberty's a team that can score points at home. Like, obviously on the year, they're averaging in the 70s, which is kind of strange, but they do have so much more depth and so much more offensive capability now. Not only do they have Blake Preston and a whole bunch of other young guys that are stepping up. You know, you do have the best scorer in the game right now, and that's Darius McGee. I don't know if Jose Placer, while he's been able to put up numbers, can go bucket for bucket with McGee. I think that with McGee, he's going to need help from Joseph Benzon. Benzon's definitely been very up and coming this year, and this is the type of matchup that he can produce in. Liberty gets into conference play. They take on a different persona. I think that this is a wire-to-wire win for Liberty. I know that the number's going against them, but I think that it just gives me more value. I think that with Keegan McDowell in the lineup, providing that on-ball defense and another consistent three-point shooter, that's going to make the difference. Kyle Rode, Shiloh Robinson, Brody Peebles, Blake Preston, these are all guys that can step up in any given game. And I think that with Liberty at home in conference versus a North Florida team that seems to be figuring out how to score the basketball a little more consistently, at least early on, I think that they're going to be on full freaking red alert and they're going to be ready to fuck them right in the goddamn mouth. I think that Liberty as a team total over spot is a nice spot, and I do think that Liberty is a first half favorite. Definitely has some value if you can get under 8.5 points.
Yeah, that's a good look. Maybe the first half. I don't blame you. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Mark, what's up, my guy? Ray, J-Ro from Arthur Mead. Good to see you, my guy. I will talk about Pitt. I'm going to ride with them again. And yeah, I lean to that under in that game. I think we can go one more. I think Syracuse is a good team. They're at home. There's interesting spots. I think there's a few spots today, Max, where the big line's warranted with some of these, and maybe the others, some of these that aren't with some of these home teams, as we'll get through later on in those bigger games there. But let's talk about this one, Max. I looked at this game. Obviously, the total's gone down. Lipscomb versus Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's an 8.5, 9-point favorite. Total now down to 143. It's moved 3 points. Obviously, I look at the under. Lipscomb's horrible defense, though. What do you think here?
Yeah, listen, Jacksonville State has the core and the size to score against this Lipscomb team and have much better offensive production than we're used to seeing. I think that when you look at the core of Darian Adams, Jalen Gibbs, and freaking Jalen Finch, these are all guys that could first off handle the ball, take over the offense, and hit a three. Throw in Kane Henry's versatility and then Brandon Huffman's just overall size. You know, this is a tough group to get over on. But I do think that Lipscomb, coming off a bad loss against Central Arkansas, even on the road, is going to be able to produce. And it starts and ends with Hassan Asadullah. If he can stay on the floor, if he can avoid foul trouble, and he can do a good job of not turning the ball over in double teams when the double team comes and we know what's going to come, then I do think Lipscomb has value when it comes to them scoring points. I do not think that Jacksonville State's defense is going to stop Lipscomb from the three-point line. And I think that when you look at the fact that they do have a good amount of size with Ognisevich on the bench, Parker Hayes, and then Asadullah, it's not like they can't score from all three levels. I think that it's going to be key for KJ Johnson and Will Pruitt to run this offense, facilitate it nicely, and produce defensively. This is a team that has just been getting smacked around like an abused loved one, and it's just like you got to do something about it. So I think that Lipscomb is the safer play to ride with their team total over than get involved in a spreader total personally. And if you look at it, Jacksonville State may have one of their best offensive games of the night based off the opponent.
Okay, excellent. Let's get to the last one in this one, Max. Yeah, right down by the dollar sign, Vale Gotti. You'll see it. You'll go through it. It's not too difficult, but if you can, we appreciate it. If you can't, no problem. But we always appreciate it. Donos. No doubt. Shout out to Vale Gotti. I'm sure you'll figure it out, my guy. Central Arkansas, let's get to your last one here, Max. Versus Bellarmine. Bellarmine 11.5-point favorites. Total 149.5. What do you got here? Bellarmine cover this number? I don't want to lay it with them. Do you?
No, I don't want to lay with them. Central Arkansas definitely is a team that is a little perplexing. Their defense is still very beatable. Coming off, I would say now, 2 really nice performances against ASUN competition where they were able to put up 75 plus. I do think that there is value with Central Arkansas's team total. I think that being a double-digit underdog against Bellarmine is going to try and slow this game down. We know that. But on the Central Arkansas side, I think that having Darius Hall and Eddie Khalud producing, and Eddie Khalud, I thought he was going to be leading this team offensively. I think he's working his way back from injury. I think that him at his best is going to elevate this team's quality and the results. I think that when you look at Bellarmine has to be able to move the ball from side to side. They have to be able to dictate the tempo, and they have to be able to negate their disadvantage when it comes to rebounding. If you want to drive the basketball and you want to get to the rim against Bellarmine's defense, you can do that very often. It's like a goddamn stripper that wants to give you a lap dance. She's never going to stop. And that's what it is when you want to go to the rim against this defense. I think that when it comes to their ball movement, that's where Central Arkansas is going to have to be on the tips of their toes, because this team gets the optimal look. They move the ball so well. You just have to watch it to see it. And they're decent at the free throw line, so they're not going to leave a whole bunch of points there. At the end of the day, though, I'm not going to back Bellarmine as this kind of favorite. If they were in the 7.5, 6.5 range, even though that is problematic, I still would be looking towards them there. At this number, it's Central Arkansas, and it's more likely a Central Arkansas team total over than anything to do with the side or the full game spread. Full game total.
Real quick, what was that? Stripper doesn't stop like going to the basket? What did you say? What did you say there?
Yeah, no. Stripper doesn't stop giving you lap dances like you want to go to the basket, like okay. They will go until you're broke. They don't know.
Broke, there you go. That's all. That's what I was waiting to say. That's what I was waiting to say till you had no more money. Boom.
Yeah, of course. And even then they may freaking work something out with you. You got some Bitcoin, you got some investments online. All you got to do is get on your phone and transfer that shit. I know guys that are like that will do that. It's crazy, but some men love the freaking ladies of the night even more than I do.
This is true. Yes, there's a guaranteed. Whatever you think that's probably the worst or way out there, I bet you there's someone even more, right, Max? If you
Absolutely.
Ever think of something.
And exactly. maybe I met him at the Ho House last night. I was at the Ho House, and maybe at the Ho House, I met someone that was even more freaking degenerate than me. Maybe I asked him to be my second dad, to teach me the ways of his degenerateness. Who knows? You guys will.
True. Well, shout out to the chat. Everyone hit the like button. Hit the retweet on Twitter for us. It's basketball season. As you can see, they do it good, Max. National championship game over. Tuesday night, put all these big games right on deck. It's just perfect. They know what they're doing, the NCAA here today on this Tuesday. All righty, Max, those are yours. I'm going to get through mine real quick. We'll hit our sponsors because I want to get through the rest of these games. I think we can get to almost all of them today. So let's get to my first one here. It's we talked about it. Mark had it in the chat. I'm on Pitt here. It's 10.5. I can't trust Syracuse. Syracuse is coming back home, Max, off a couple tough losses at Wake and then Miami by 1. They haven't been great at home. They lost to Virginia. They got beat down a little bit by Villanova. They did beat Indiana in that OT game. When was that? December 7th. Seems like a long time ago. And they can get hot shooting and cover this number. But I think it's too many. Pitt's got a pretty good defense. I think they can hang in here a little bit. I might be off the Pitt train here soon. We'll see with some things that got taken on with going on with the team. But I'm going to take the 10.5 here. And the total in a Pittsburgh game, I like the under. But if Syracuse is hitting shots, the game can easily get over. You know how that is, Max, if they're falling. But they can be a team that stays in the 60s when they're cold. So that's why I stayed off the total. I'll just take the 10.5. Anything here, Max?
Yeah, listen, Conor, I think that Theo Horton really made a significant impact, shooting 60% from the field in his first game and contributing 13 points. I think that this Pittsburgh team now has a very usable, experienced backcourt with Burton and Horton that are going to be able to produce. Hugley, Femi Odukali, and then Mogi. Mogi is the key tonight. I think that Mogi has a big game, and I think that when you look at this Pittsburgh group, Syracuse is reliant. You know what Syracuse is going to do. Syracuse is going to have to get the Boeheim brothers to run the show, but the most important guy for Syracuse, and I'm calling it right now, Jesse Edwards, offensively and anchoring the zone. We'll see what happens, but I definitely am not taking Syracuse as a 10.5-point favorite.
Yeah. Let's get to my next one. Rutgers, Penn State. Real quick for me here, Max. Rutgers is away from home where they've played well, and they've played better lately, but those have mostly been at home. I like how Penn State's played lately at home. They beat Indiana. They just lost to Purdue. They cover the number, though. They went on the road, beat Northwestern by 4. I think Penn State covers here with a short number. They're at home. I like it. Rutgers is the automatic fade for me. They're 0-4. They're against the number on the road, their last 4. I just like them at the rack. We always talk about it, and they're not the same shooting team as they are. So I'm taking Penn State, the hotter team right now. And I lean over a little bit. Penn State, a few of their last, I think 4 out of 5 have gone over. This game definitely could stay under, though. That's why I'm not crazy over the total, the 133. But I'm laying the 2 with Penn State here. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think that you're on the right track. I'm just concerned because why is this line gone the opposite way? Why isn't it gone from 3.5 to 2? I think that there is definitely some value with Penn State on a first half over if you're getting under 63. And I think that from a personnel perspective, Ron Harper and Geo Baker are going to have to show up. That's 100%. But I do think that the X factor for Rutgers is Caleb McConnell. Caleb McConnell has definitely come out of his early season slump and has made up for lost time. If they control these 3 guys, I do think that it will be a sweat-free, worrisome, less victory. But with Penn State, Seth Lundy, John Har, and of course now Jalen Pickett, who is becoming more and more comfortable with Big Ten style of basketball, Penn State is dangerous at home. So I like it.
I think it's, I know, like you said, the number's gone down. Rutgers is this team I've seen they just have struggles, whether it's Ron Harper Jr., and they could win this game. And the dog in this series has played well in the past. Maybe that's took it, I was going through that, some of the stuff on this today. The road team's done well between these two, the last few, but that's not always easy to go off these college different teams, not always, but, from going back, let's say 2 years or so, or 3 years. All right, Max, let's get to my third one here. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. I kind of like 2 here, Max. I'm on the over. Buzz Williams, everything. You talk about under and stuff. This team's gone over in 8 straight. Texas A&M. So I think 135 is light here. Ole Miss might be without Joyner, I believe. Right, Max?
Yes.
He's got a back issue. He was out, but I still took them at home on Saturday when they played. I thought the wrong team. It kind of should have been a pick 'em. Mississippi State was favored. I took Ole Miss. Ole Miss has gone over in 3 of its last 4. I think the total, they're thinking of these teams a little bit in the past. Ole Miss maybe is a little more under team, but A&M, this team just keeps scoring. I think I took on Saturday I mentioned, I think last week when I was talking with you, we had one of their overs between these teams. But I'm on the over 135.5, and I lean to A&M a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to bet that as well, but I'm definitely on the over here. Ole Miss played Ole Miss without Joyner those last 2 games, but if he's in or not, we'll see. But in this one, give me the over 135.5, and if I had it on the side, I'd lean A&M. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think that when it comes to the over, you need Quentin Jackson to be the starring and leading scoring force for A&M. But when you have Marcus Williams and him getting more comfortable, it's definitely showing with his point performance. I do think that when you look at Andre Gordon, that's the most important player to come off the bench tonight, really give you that 3-level scoring, give you that kick in the ass if you're hitting front rim early. Against Ole Miss, though, I think that, Matthew Morrell has a perfect opportunity to start and take over this offense. Someone that the fan base has been looking forward to having this opportunity. I think when you have Jalen Brakefield and you have freaking Nazir Brooks being able to anchor and defend the rim, it allows your guards to play a little more loose and definitely take a couple more risks. I think that that's the way to play it tonight, definitely with the over. And I think that Texas A&M actually, as a first half play, is something that is catching my eye, at least, just because I think that Marcus Williams has a lot of matchup advantages versus what I would view as slower-footed guards for Ole Miss.
Excellent. Let's get to this last one. I want to talk to you about. There was a few games, a few others, line moves. We'll get to them later. That kind of borderline taking here tonight. This one is up to me. I want to talk to you about this one. Obviously, Tennessee's is South Carolina, Tennessee. Tennessee, this line's moved from 13. I think people is right. They're back at home. They lose to LSU. They're 8-0 at home. Everything seems so good. 13-point favorites. This has moved to 15.5. I've had a little thing here. It's just because this is moved with South Carolina. They just went to Vandy and won. They lost to Auburn, 81-66 at Auburn, but that would get you a cover here tonight. They've had a few other bad losses, 14 at Clemson, but they've been pretty good, at home. They beat Florida State, Georgetown. I think just this, and now that it's moved to 15.5, Max, it might be too many points. I think this is, the bounce back for Tennessee at home, and they are better at home. South Carolina can turn the ball over. Reese and Levesque got to be good for them tonight. What do you think? Do you think this is too much? What do you think in this game? I lean to South Carolina. Now that's moved to almost 16 points.
Listen, I think that you have to look that way with a conference foe that's finally helping. I think that Keyshawn Bryant and Jermaine Couisnard have to play the starting roles, but with Wildens Levesque, while we know that he's not going to go out to the three-point line, he is a very effective 60% field goal shooter, and I think that him having an impact offensively is going to be key. I think that South Carolina has to get off to a good start. They have to be able to score the basketball against Tennessee's defense. Yeah. And when we talk about Tennessee, Olivier Nakamhua and John Fulkerson, those are the guys that I'm waiting to step up their scoring production, because if you want to leave it to Kennedy Chandler to lead this offense, you just never know whether he's going to go 2 for 14 or 10 for 12.
Very true. Man, we're going to get into more games with Iceland. I agree on some of these teams, kind of with these big numbers I might cover, but this one's stretched out a bit. And I like how you talked about how healthy South Carolina has been. I know they're not as good on the road. Tennessee's great at home, and they have a suffocating defense. Man, I'm leaning that way pretty strong there with just too many points. All right, Max, those are my games. The other one, I had a few leans. We'll get to some of these ones. I'm sure we'll hit during the thing, or at least I'll get to them at the end of the show. But before, load up all your questions. We got a ton of basketball. Get them in the chat real quick. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Here we are. Sorry. Something in my throat. If you're in the Southtown 101 area, get there. go there. Go to Southtown 101 in San Antonio. Be there, bar, karaoke, food. You know what the deal is. MyBookie.ag, promo code Pub Sports. Like Max was talking about earlier, use the Bitcoin. Early, quick transfer. Put 1,000, they give you 1,000 back on MyBookie.ag, and go to Manscaped.com. 20% off. Get the Lawnmower 4.0, but get the whole kit caboodle, the ball deodorant, or all that shit that comes in that kit. Get it. Get a leather bag, a whole bunch of shit. And get the Pub Rub. Rub it on your meat. Seasoning's great, especially the barbecue. The all-purpose is excellent as well. Put on your chicken, your ribs, all your brisket, all that good shit. 2 for $25. PubSportsRadio.com, and cop some of our merch while you are there. All right, Max, that is it. I do have to shout out to Matty Ice. As soon as we get on that game, the taint play of the day. South Carolina plus 15.5. Makes me feel a little bit better, my guy. Thanks for that. But let's get some of these games in this one. But some people have asked here, Max. Real quick, shout out. The best you guys can do, give me the line if you can, or the total, whatever your question is. I try to mention that to you guys, but do that. So here we'll start out. I think Jake, I have seen the first one. St. Louis, Delaware. Anything in that game from Anthony?
That's actually Delaware Drexel, not St. Louis, Delaware.
Yeah. See, right game. Delaware Drexel game. Tease is right above it. Sorry. He wrote, okay.
Yeah, so I know that Tease is going to the game, so shout out to him. And I think that his Blue Hens are going to not disappoint him tonight. I think that when you look at Delaware, it is obviously going to be the Dylan Painter show, but I think that with your trio of capable double-digit scoring guards, Jameer Nelson's going to have to stand out from the other two. And I think that when you look at an X factor in the game, Andrew Carr is going to have all kinds of matchup advantages, whether he's matchup on James Butler or even Amari Williams. I think that he's going to be able to score the ball. He's a 3-level scorer, capable 3-point scorer as well. I think that Delaware, at least by halftime, is ahead of this game, and I think that they're going to be better suited if they try and slow this game down and really stop guys like Nate Okras from beating them, because that's what you have to worry about Drexel. Drexel, someone coming out of nowhere off the bench and giving you that MVP type performance. For me, betting wise, I'm on Delaware first half.
All right, Delaware first half. Yeah, and shout out to everyone. Just throw question one game. Max, it's tough for us to question, when you guys ask questions in multiple games, it's not easy. All right, to Jake, San Jose, Fresno, big favorites here, Max, 14.5. Do you have anything there?
Yeah, listen, I think that San Jose State with Tim Miles as a coach is a much more impressive team. And the way that Omari Moore and Trey Smith have been able to propel this offense in the half court, whether it be starting up the 3-point barrage or being able to recognize that the defense is soft inside and going in on it. I think that the X factor for San Jose State, if they want to stay within this number, is going to be T-Bet Gorner. What we've seen from T-Bet is that he's a capable defender, hard-nosed rebounder, and he can drop a 3-point shot from a corner to the top of the circle. They're going to need all of that tonight, because with Fresno, while Jordan Campbell and Isaiah Hill are nice guards and they're going to do what just needs to be done, the key defensively for San Jose State is what do you do and how do you deal with Orlando Robinson? With the 7-footer being as talented as he is and being able to bring out a defense, back a guy down, and hit a free throw, San Jose State's going to have to play a full 40-minute game. If they do so, they'll hang within the number. If not, well, we know that they're going to be sipping cock soup.
True. Very true. How about this one, Max? This one I want just nothing to do with. Just Illinois, 12.5 on the road. Nebraska, totals 150.5. Anything here?
Yeah, listen, I think that with Illinois and Nebraska, the only way I'm looking at this game is from a total perspective. I think that with Illinois, who on Nebraska is going to stop Kofi Cockburn? Kofi Cockburn is going for 25 and 10-plus rebounds tonight. So if my man Sharpie's out there, check out Kofi Cockburn. I shouldn't have to tell you this right now, Sharpie. Kofi Cockburn plays. Oscar Tshiebwe plays in the same game. Oh, my God. There's a 2-pick, my friend. I'll say this, though. Illinois has the definite definitely have the type of backcourt that can score against Nebraska's defense. They just need someone like Jacob Grandison to continue his offensive surge and bring that on the road. We know that Nebraska is going to be minus Trey McGowan's. While that's not a nail in the coffin, his brother Bryce McGowan's is still there, and he's the more talented of the brothers. You're going to need a guy like Kisei Taminga to be able to give you that three-point shooting and be able to hit some free throws. I think that we're going to see points in this game. I think Illinois' team total is the better look as far as my favorite bet in the game. And I'm not going to be laying the points, even though I do think that they'll cover it.
Yeah. I mean, I think they do too, but too many other games. I don't want to lay 13 on the road. Let's get to this one, Max. Ball State, Akron, 8.5-point favorite. Total, I think, is 141. Any look there?
Yeah, listen, I think that this is a crazy number, but we have to understand what Akron does. Akron is the prototypical home team with a good experienced backcourt of Brian Trimble Jr. and Xavier Castaneda. They're definitely not going to get pushed around. They're not going to get overwhelmed by a kind of defense that they see. And I think that when you look at this group, Ali and Enrique Freeman, the numbers that they put up when you read their box scores, it's like, wow, some fucking video game shit. What are they on, some freaking wolf blood injection? Did someone steal some blood from a wolf at the zoo and inject it into those guys? Sometimes I think so, but I think that Akron at home is very formidable. That is where I trust them. That is where I think that laying points with them is something that I would consider. However, with Ball State, Peyton Sparks has really shown up and emerged for this Ball State team, and that's what they needed. They've always had good guards. Luke Bumblau, they got Tyler Cochran from Northern Illinois, but having Peyton Sparks at 240 or 250 and 6'10", that's what the difference will be. I think that if Akron is going to have this game, they're going to have this game wrapped up in the first half. Otherwise, it's going to be a freaking dogfight. And I do think Ball State, with their shooting and their balance, they're going to be able to stay within the number full game. So it's crazy to say, but I just said it.
I agree with you a bit, Max. I mean, I'm not going to touch that game. I guess if you do like Akron early, because then it could be leery. Ball State could hang around in that one. How about this one, Max? We'll get to the big one here. It's next. Auburn, Alabama. Obviously, this line's moved from 1 to 3. Huge total, around 156, I guess. Do you have anything here? And can you get over?
Listen, I think that it's definitely a really interesting matchup of future NBA players. When you look at Jabari Smith, or you look at KD Johnson, or even look at Wendell Green, all these guys have some really nice collegiate skill. They're going to put on a good show. I think that this line moving to 3 is very similar to that Tennessee-Alabama game a couple weeks ago, where we saw the line open at a similar number, and then we see definite steam towards the home team. I think Alabama defensively is going to have problems with Auburn. I don't know if Alabama's defense could do the same thing to Auburn. So I'd have to look at Auburn in this spot. And for me betting personally, I don't have a bet on this game. I probably won't.
Yeah, Auburn's played better basketball.
Auburn also hits. Sorry, Conor, Auburn also shoots the mid-range jumper, something that if you watch Alabama basketball, they refuse to. It's either drive or a 3.
No, you're right. And when that's off, it's ugly. It can get ugly with Bama. I mean, it seems like a spot for them. I'm off. Want nothing to do with it. Toledo at Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio, short favorite here, 1.5, total 152. Anything here?
Yeah, listen, I think that with Miami, Ohio, they are an unknown team to, I would say, the majority of the college basketball betting market, because when you look at Delonte Brown, you look at Day-Day Grant, and then Mekhi Larry, these are guys that have been in this program for multiple years. These are guys that have that chemistry continuity, and they definitely want to win on their home court versus Toledo. So while I do respect the line flipping from 1 to 2 in favor of them, Toledo's going to have to lose this game in order for Miami, Ohio to win this game. And what I mean by that is Ryan Rollins is the most talented player on the court. It's just as is he going to be able to hit threes? And if not, is he going to have the two best three-point shooters on the team, Cedric Milner and JT Shoemate, being able to pick up the slack? I worry about Toledo more so on the road in full games. I think that they do have first half value as a favorite. And now as a dog, getting a plus price is always sexy.
Yeah, it's a short number. I agree with you. I just don't love it. All right, let's get to the next one. Someone that mentioned in the beginning, that was a double question there, Max, in that Drexel game. St. Louis, Dayton. Dayton's 3-point favorite. This total is 140 and a half. What about this one? Should be a good one.
Yeah, listen, I think this is going to be a real great game, and it's going to be really dependent on who can inflict their style and tempo onto each other. I think that with Dayron Holmes and Tumani Kamara, this is a very formidable inside defense for Dayton. And at home, in a night game, they're going to definitely have the advantage. I think that when you look at St. Louis with Jimerson Gibson, he's definitely the premier scorer on the team, but you could definitely push him out to the perimeter and force him to beat you out there. I've seen it in a couple games, including I think the Boise State game, where he was able to get inside. I don't think he's going to have the same kind of ability against Dayton's defense. And for Dayton, I think that there's an X factor, and I think that for St. Louis, there's an X factor. For St. Louis, the X factor and what's going to determine if they win the game or not is going to be Francis Okoro. Francis Okoro is going to have his hands full. He's going to have to show that he can rebound and score the basketball like he has so far this year. And I think on the Dayton side, Malachi Smith is proving and showing that he's the best scoring guard on this roster. And he's a guy that the defense is going to have to start to remember who he is. So tough game to bet sidewise. Think there's angles to make a case for either side. But the most important thing for me is the line went from 136.5 to the 140s. I have to be looking under.
Man, it moved a lot. I know. Shocking there. I have nothing in this one. Rio Grande versus Stephen F. Austin. They're huge 13.5-point favorites. Large total. I think the total 153, right? Yeah. Somewhere around there. Anything here?
Yeah, listen, I'm a big Stephen F. Austin. I'm a big Western Athletic Conference fan. I think that with UT Rio Grande Valley, this is a real interesting group. I think that now having Justin Johnson back is very important, but I think that their ball facilitation from Ricky Nelson, that's going to be the key to their offense tonight. We know that Stephen F. Austin has already dismantled the two teams that they played in conference on their in Texas road trip. And with Gavin Kensmo and Rhodey Ware anchoring that offense, that's a pretty dangerous 1-2 tandem. I think that we are going to see points in this game. I do respect the line move. And I think that with Justin Johnson healthy in the lineup, with that frame that he has, he's going to be able to take the physical freaking punishment, and he's going to be able to score the basketball consistently. I think that if Mike Adewunmi is able to step up and be able to give you an outlier type of game from the perimeter, it's just going to go to helping UT Rio Grande Valley. And I think that when you look at Stephen F. Austin, you know what you're going to get from your foundation. But if David Caleres is able to produce the way that he did in the Texas road trip, I do think that Stephen F. Austin finds a way to cover this number. And I think that both these teams help it find its way over. So this is the game that will be on the WAC Digital Network, Connor. So for all you Canadians and all you international people, sign up and you can get free access and not have to watch it on ESPN Plus or an illegal stream.
Thank you for letting everyone know that. I love it. Give everyone a little info if you're not in the U.S. to catch Stephen F. Austin Rio Grande tonight. I love it. How about this one, Max? This one's a pretty interesting game. Florida State finally had a good win at home over a Louisville team I'm mum on. And this Miami team just keeps winning, covering. Wow, they go to Duke, an outright win. I've been on them a few times. Florida State looked better, but I don't want to lay 6.5. Not the way Miami's been playing. Florida State could win this by 8 or 10. But I would stick with the hotter team if I had to here. What's your look in this game?
Yeah, listen, I come from two sides of the tracks on this game, Connor. I think that if you've been making money off Miami on this 9-game road trip, you continue to ride them. With Cam McGusty and Isaiah Wong running this offense, it is very unstoppable if they're making shots. And with Jordan Miller, the George Mason transfer, he's the guy that can really get forgotten about on the court and then can make you pay for forgetting about him. I think that with Florida State, Caleb Mills and Malik Osborne are going to have to lead this offense, but if Matthew Cleveland doesn't show that he's ready to take that next step in his collegiate development, well, Florida State is just mislined. I think that if you made money, you'd ride Miami, and if you didn't, maybe take a shot with Miami first half on the money line, see if you can get a little plus price and a halftime lead.
Excellent, Max. How about this one, the big game here, Texas Tech Baylor. Baylor, big favorites, round 11.5. Total around 135.5. There's a few 136s. Can Baylor cover here? Obviously, big number. And what do you think of the total? Interesting. I had that under. The shots just dropped with Kansas Tech on Saturday. It kind of sucked. What about this total? Baylor's gone over a lot, but they're stifling defense, and we know Tech can struggle to score at times. What do you think about this total?
I think that it's a spot where I have to be looking towards overs when Baylor's involved. I think that with Baylor getting LJ Crider and Matt Mayer back, it's just added to the offensive arsenal that Coach Drew has at his disposal. I think with Kendall Brown, he's the guy that's got to be the difference maker for Baylor to cover this number tonight. But with Texas Tech and so many freaking question marks when it comes to who's available and who's not, and not having Terrence Shannon or Kevin McCullough or Malik Wilson, it just takes away a lot of the allure for me. I think that Clarence Navolny has done a fantastic job alongside Daniel Batcho of being able to produce definitely off the freaking radar. I just think that going up against this quality of Baylor defense with a team that can still put up 80 plus in any given game against any quality of defense in the Big 12, it's just a bad spot. I think that Baylor wins the game. I'm not really looking to take them as a double-digit favorite, but I do like the team total over.
Yeah, that might be a way to look at it. I mean, I think Baylor wins as well. Just you do want to take them to win by around 12 or 13. VCU laying 16.5. It's George Washington. This total, you thought Max has moved 4 points up, 127 to 131.5. I know they went over in their last game, like LaSalle. George Washington's kind of like that, so maybe that's why it's moved up and could get over. But this could just, I am with VCU, and it's under or nothing here. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. I think that it is VCU under. We did see this happen in the George Washington Dayton game, and that game still stayed under 130, landed on 129. I think that with George Washington, with Joe Bassamil and James Bishop, you definitely have guys that can get hot from the perimeter, but you're going to need an X factor, and a guy like Ricky Lindo or Brayon Freeman, those are the guys that I'm looking forward to contribute if George Washington's going to want to have a chance. I think VCU covers this number. They're healthy now with Ace Baldwin and Vince Williams as your star tandem. And then with Marcus Teshonis, the Washington transfer, getting more comfortable, back in rhythm, and producing nice scoring games. I look for him to have a big game tonight against George Washington's sometimes, I would even say, I guess, pathetic perimeter defense. So if you want to make shots and you want to hit open shots, George Washington's the defense to do it against. I think that VCU definitely has a good chance at least covering the number first half if it's going to go my way full game. But the safer way is to just fade the line movement and take the under 132.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I watched too many of their games. Totally agree. Next one, Marquette DePaul. Marquette's 6.5 point favorites here. You talked about this total. It's up to what, 146.5. What's your look here?
Yeah, listen, this is a spot where I did jump
down,
on.
Sorry, I meant down. I goofed. The total come down a little bit.
Yeah, no worries. This is a spot that I definitely like the first half under, just to see how Marquette is able to control the tempo and control the dribble drive penetration from DePaul. With Javon Freeman, Liberty, and David Jones, you definitely have your very capable scoring 1-2 tandem. But a guy like Brandon Johnson, who just keeps on missing key free throws in the second half, has to figure this shit out. I think that DePaul definitely is now at a disadvantage with this Marquette team getting more comfortable and getting Cam Jones back into the lineup. Alongside him and then Daryl Morcell and Justin Lewis, it's a tough group to fuck with, especially at home. I think that the first half under and the full game under are the better ways for me to play the game and then to bet the side live.
Excellent. I wanted to get to someone's question here. I went a little far, but I'm going to get to a few more because we're running a little low here on time, Max. Let's get to some big ones. Oak State, West Virginia. The people had this in the chat. -3. I believe the total's around 133, right? What do you think here?
Yeah, listen, I think that with Avery Anderson and Caleb Boone, they're going to have to start in this game on the road, and you're going to need someone like Bryce Williams to provide that jolt. I think that with West Virginia, it is all about who they have available, and if Gabe Osabuoyan and Taz Sherman in the lineup, it's hard for me not to like their quality defensively and from the perimeter at home. So tough spot for me to lay either way. Probably look at a first half over and then go from there.
Okay, excellent. Because I'm so immersed in doing this, Max, but quick shout out to Bill McDonald. He likes Hofstra. Are they worth a live look? I don't know if I know you have the game on, but I don't know the score.
Yeah, I'm watching the game right now. It's a close game, obviously, at halftime. For me, I just think that there's going to be points in the game. Right now, there really isn't a ton of value taking Hofstra. I think that with a 2-point game, you're probably better off watching the first 4 minutes of the half and then seeing how they come out at halftime and who gets off to a run. I'm personally just riding the over.
Okay, excellent. Let's get to this one. Iowa State, Kansas. Kansas off the loss, laying a big number. I've liked Iowa State all year. It seems like a bounce back spot for Kansas, but a ton of points, right? Totals 140. What do you think in this one?
Yeah, the number keeps on going up on this spot, and it's definitely giving me it's making me second guess myself as far as Iowa State. But from data standpoint, they hit all the freaking key criteria to be a double-digit dog in this spot. They have a young freshman point guard in Tyrese Hunter who has to make the difference tonight. He's got to be effective. He's got to take care of the basketball. And with Isaiah Brockington, he's a guy that you want to play a slow-tempo game. You want to be able to get him and get the ball in his hands for as much of the game as possible. I think Iowa State is all about having to slow this game down, but if they can't slow this game down, Abaji and Christian Braun are going to eat them alive. The difference for Kansas in their wins and in their losses is the performance of David McCormick, and if McCormick has an up game and a positive plus game, then I think that Kansas is going to really freaking make it difficult for Iowa State to stay in this game for 40. But going off the number, based off the number, I have to take and look at Iowa State before I back Kansas.
I know. God damn, me too. I mean, it seems like Kansas gets back home here, wins this game. But do they cover this number? I mean, it's pretty large here, Max. It's not, it seems like this could be close. Maybe Iowa State first half. Maybe Kansas pulls away a little bit. I mean, it's just still, it's a huge number. Shit. Let's get to a few more before we get out of here. Shout out. There you go, Big Show. Yeah, smash the like button, like he said. Ron Jeremy in the 80s. But you don't want to look at Ron Jeremy in 2022. No. Guy looks rough.
His gut looks like mine. Holy shit.
Oh, shit. Let's go through the last few ones. UMass, Davidson 12.5-point favorites. Totals high here. 151.5, 152. Any look here?
Yeah, this is a spot where I have to look at overs. I'm done taking unders in UMass games, and I think that with Davidson having a little bit of a scare last time out, I look for a guy like Sam Menenga to have a big game. Obviously, it's implied that Haejung Lee and Foster Loyer put up 20+ in this game. I just think that you need someone else to come off the bench or come out of the front court and give you that fifth double-digit score, because I think they got 4 others. I think that with UMass, not being healthy and having TJ Weeks hurts. And I don't think they'll have Javon Garcia, but having Rich Kelly, CJ Kelly, and Noah Fernandez in the lineup is enough to put up their part of the total. So I look over in the game, first half and full game.
Yeah, I know it's high, but for me in that game, it'd only be one way too, Max. Over nothing. Real quick, two more. Loyola, -13. Any thoughts?
Yeah, listen, with this number going from 16 to 13, it definitely is interesting. I think that Loyola Chicago at home is going to be better off, but I think that the better way to attack the game instead of the spread is just first half and full game over. Valpo is a good scoring team, especially with Kobe King in the lineup now. I think that with him, Kevion Taylor, freaking Ben Creaky, my fellow Canadian, they can go on the road. It's just a matter of can they avoid the scoring droughts, which is what has hindered them and cost them to freaking lose on the spread. I think that this is a game they get up for. I look for Valpo and Loyola put on a nice offensive game, unlike the Bradley game until late.
Okay, last one here from we got to hit. Arthur Mead asked us the Bowling Green versus Ohio. Ohio's favored by 8. Any look there?
Yeah, listen, I think that Ohio is one of my favorite teaser spots. Shout out to my guy, Mike Barrera, who's already used it in one of his teasers. I think that Ohio at home with Mark Sears, the question is always going to be what and which defense can actually stop him. I haven't seen a defense in the conference that can do so yet. Bowling Green is next up. I think that this is an over game. When I see Bowling Green and I see 150, I get a little giddy, and I even may get a little best bet happy with it.
Woo! I like it. We got to get her. Shout out Sabino. It's good to see you, my man. You're in here. I haven't seen you in a while. We haven't touching it real quick, Max, before we give our best bets and stuff before we get out of here. Kentucky, Vandy. Kentucky 8.5 point favorites. Any look there?
I am wearing the Kentucky gear because I'm all about Kentucky first half. I want to see this Kentucky team inflict their will on them. I want to see what the status of Savar Wheeler is, and I want to see Kellen Grady put up a couple threes. So I think that will be a good test of what Vandy is capable of in this matchup. I don't blame anybody for taking the number with Vandy. I just think that early on, Kentucky's got to show to me that they're not on point before I decide to back Vandy full game.
Hey, Conor, can I get one before we go real quick?
Yep, shoot it.
Here you go, Max. Your team.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Oh, my God, this game. Yeah. St. Bonaventure. Well, we know right now that there will be no UConn or St. Bonaventure best bets for the rest of the season on the show. I will say this. The Bonnies coming off a goddamn COVID layoff. They are hungry. They are ready to go. They are like a fucking horny fucking preteen that can't control when he gets stiff like a board. I think that St. Bonaventure, healthy, ready to go, fucking with their eyes open. Kyle Lofton, Jalen Attaway, they're going into LaSalle. They are going to bend them over, and they are going to split them like a fucking rotten peach. It's going to be fucking glorious. But I'm not telling you to bet on St. Bonaventure.
yeah. That was perfect. Perfect. Yes, glorious. Everything saying St. Bonaventure is going to rail him, but I'm not telling you to bet him. Excellent, Max. Right now, give a shout out to our chat. Give your bets that you're on today. I'll give mine, and we'll get out of here, brother.
Yeah, listen, obviously, this is the greatest freaking college basketball chat in the world. This is one of the greatest chats in the world on Pub Sports Radio because we do have some really awesome shows in addition to ours. And I think that when I look at this card has minefields written all over it. But what doesn't freaking scare me is the fact that I see some teams that score points. I see some teams that are bad in sieves defensively. We've talked about two of them already. Bowling Green over 151.5, UMass over 152, and of course, I'm going to go with the Baylor team total because when I look at this Baylor team, they are capable of scoring 75 against this Texas Tech defense. My numbers like it. My guy Tone likes it. I like it. And Gus and his girlfriend, they're not going to like it. So I'm taking Baylor team total over 72.5. Give me 75 points, Bears, and I will freaking love you forever and not send you shit in a box. I'm going with overs. I want points. Even Ken Palm's been saying that points have been going up over the last 200 games that have been played. Let's hope that trend continues tonight for me and our best bets. And that, please, I don't want to go 0-3. I don't want to go under the bridge to get a hand job. I want to be warm and not have to carry around the electric hand warmer. The batteries are expensive and I'm cheap.
I feel you. No doubt. All right. So that's good. Anything else? You're good?
I do have more things to get off my chest. I just don't think that this is the time to do so. So we'll get into your best bets now.
Okay. Excellent. Here's mine, and then we'll get on out of here. And shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button, thumbs up, retweet our shit, rewatch it if some of you guys are late. We love it. Shout out to Pub Sports Radio. Here's mine. You got to take it. Pitt. I'm still ride the train, plus 10.5. I don't think Syracuse is that good. I'll take those 10.5. Penn State laying the 2 at home. I think they get it done over Rutgers. A big fan kind of Rutgers at the rack, not away. I like how Penn State's been playing basketball, especially at home lately, getting wins. You could go money line if you want in that game. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Well, we talked about Texas A&M. Max, you did first half maybe, and I lean them even a little bit full game. I'm on the over. 135.5. I think it gets over there. And since the taint is on it, I would love it. And yes, there are a few 16s that have popped up. DraftKings, view other spots. South Carolina, plus 16. Don't do me dirty. Be that dirty, dirty dog that gets me a W in cashes tonight. Those are mine. We're out of here. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. Packed show today on a Tuesday. We love it. Shout out to everyone in the chat. He's a great Maxwell Smart. I'm Conor Mack. We're out, baby. We be popping! Get that cash.